Hi everyone, it's Lisa Brown with InkandInspirations.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Southeast Texas here in the U.S., currently coming to you from our cabin in Southwest Missouri. I am so excited to be here with you tonight. This is my first Thursday night premiere here on YouTube, and I'm hoping you will mark your calendars to join me each Thursday evening. And if you'd like to participate in the chat over here on the right hand side, you must sign into your Google account so that you are allowed to do that. Otherwise, I can't see if you're commenting below here, and we'll just learn this together. But I am so excited to be here and would love for you to chat live with me. So this evening, what I'm going to be doing is sharing two cards with a trend that I have noticed lately, just looking around and seeing different kinds of card making and paper crafting creations. And that trend is like lots of neutrals in the background, but with spots of color. Okay, so I have created two of my own that I want to share with you this evening. And so we're going to get started. If you have any questions, you can post here in the comments or over here in the live chat, and I will answer. And just so glad and so excited to have you here. Now, all of the details for these two projects will be on my blog, so you can find them there, and be sure to check out for information in the video description. Okay, so let me get started here and talk a little bit about what we're using this evening. I'm going to make, both cards are going to be using the all squared away bundle. Parts of them have this stamp set and these beautiful squared, floral squares dies, okay? And then on one of the cards, I'm using this great Create with Friends set with these lovely scripted words and coordinating sentiments that you can make so many different phrases. And so I'll be using that this evening as well. So let me just show you a little bit where these are in the catalog. Okay, here is the Create with Friends set. All right, it's on page 36 of the annual catalog. You can see the beautiful words here. And then we're going to come over to the all squared away bundle. Okay, it includes the dies and the stamp set, and here's some great samples too here. And then for designer papers, I am using one of the collections that's on sale until August the 2nd. It is this In Good Taste Designer Series paper. That will be on the second card we make. And here it is. It's 24 sheets, I believe. Yes, 2 each of 12 designs for $17.85. All right, and then we have all of these others that are also on sale until August the 2nd, so don't miss out on that. But I'm also using one of the specialty papers. This particular collection, along with a few others that are specialty, are not on sale, but they have some beautiful neutral designs on the reverse side of the foiled. And you might wonder, what is a specialty paper? It's those papers that have a different kind of special finish, like foil or acetate, or let me see if I can find if there's another one. I believe, oh yes, the so popular Expressions in Ink is a specialty paper. It's so popular that it's not available right now. It's on back order, but it's a beautiful paper and has gold foil on it. Beautiful. So anyway, that's the difference between a specialty and a regular designer series paper. So don't forget about this 15% off sale. So let me show you the first card we're going to be making, and that's this one right here. I've used, like I said, the sentiments for Let's Create Together, and you can see the neutral backgrounds and how I've added the petal pink as the pop of color. So let's get started. Now I'm going to have some watercoloring to do, so I'm going to be painting or watercoloring first. And what I've done is I've used some of our Fluid 100 watercolor paper, all right? And I have die cut this square, all right? This one with the flower, 2 different shaped flowers we're going to be using on the card. And also this flower, and I have die cut that twice, okay? I need 2 of those. So I've already done that to save a little bit of time. So I'm gonna just put these back so I don't lose those dies. And move this out of the way. You can see I have some spares in there. Okay, so here they are already die cut. I have one here with a little note on it to remind myself that this one's going to be black. Okay, so I'm going to put that here. And what I'm going to do to make that black is I'm going to take my Memento black pad, take this is a die cut watercolor flower, and I'm going to put it face down, and then I'm just going to tap on it. Now, when I do this technique, I'm not really concerned if I get complete coverage. I think it just adds to the interest. See there? I'm going to leave that just like that. Okay, I'm going to set that aside and let that dry. And now we can move on to the watercoloring. So the way I did this is I took a clear block and I've got my Petal Pink ink pad. And I'm going to just make me a little palette of ink there. Now, I'm using one of our water painters, but I wanted more control over the water than just filling the well and squeezing it down. So I have a little bowl of water here that I'm going to use. And I'm just going to dip my brush in there and swirl it around on this little dab of Petal Pink ink. It's such a light, beautiful, I like to call it ballet pink because it's a peachy pink, okay? So let me get a piece of scrap paper to protect my surface a bit. And I have die cut these flowers. Oh, and I forgot, I also die cut 3 of these little flowers as well. And let me show you that die. I love it when Stampin' Up does this. Instead of having to keep track of 3 little individual flowers, it's all in one die, and it cuts all 3 at one time. I love that. Okay, so I'm going to paint these. Get my card here for reference. And these little flowers I'm going to use on the inside of the card. I believe this is the right side. The watercolor paper is reversible, but I tried to see how I die cut them and do the side that was face up. Okay, so just a wash on there. And again, don't be concerned if you don't get the whole flower covered. It just makes it for an interesting look. Okay, here's the side I want to do here. And I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. And we're going to have some more watercoloring to do in just a minute because I'm going to add some texture to a background piece. So I'm just going to lift this up and I'm going to put this black flower on here and set that aside. Okay, so I have this one of the 2 embossing folders that are in the greenery collection in the annual catalog, and I've got an extra one here, but I cut a 2 by 2 square of the watercolor paper, and then I'm just going to run that through the Big Shot. I say the Big Shot, the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and get that over here. All right, need that down. I'm still learning my layers with this. Where's my other sheet? Here it is. That embossing plate is mainly for the dynamic embossing folders that are really thick. Okay, let me move this aside. And now you can see I have a really pretty textured piece. Okay, all right, so let's get some more scrap paper again. And we're gonna bring that bowl of water and the ink here, still plenty of ink. I'll move this water so I don't make a mess. And I am going to be very carefully, I'm going to try to paint mainly the leaves that are embossed, okay, the little leaflets here. I tried this several times and colored several little embossed squares, and I found that I liked when I just, instead of getting it all in the background, I just mainly got the little embossed leaves. I like that look the best. Okay. In fact, I have one here so you can see. Okay. You see? It's just a little more delicate looking and brings out the embossing a little more, don't you think? Okay. So now, let's get this ink out of the way and the bowl of water off of the surface there. And now, here we go. We're letting that dry. And I have to remember where I put my little pieces to dry, and they're right here. Okay, so while these are drying, I'm going to add another little touch because I'm incorporating black as one of the neutrals on the card. I wanted to add some little black speckles, very light and delicate, okay? Nothing really too noticeable, but yet I noticed if I didn't do it, it just seemed like it was missing something, okay? So I'm gonna get that clear block again, and I'm gonna take my Memento ink and just do a dab there. Probably too much, but it's okay. All right, and then I'm gonna take these pieces, move them aside, and get a little protective tin here. All right, I'm gonna get my bowl of water back and do the same swirling technique. So I'm gonna dip it in here, okay? Get that petal pink off of it. And now I'm going to swirl this around and just get some black on here. And I want quite a bit of water, okay? Next, I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm just gonna tap, and little speckles of black are getting on that piece, okay? See there? They're very faint, and if I want more, I'm gonna be brave. I'm gonna be brave and try it again. I'm dipping it into the black Memento again with more water. I'm gonna come up a little higher, and I think that's gonna do me. I'm doing it again. I'm being very brave. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now we've got that. I'm gonna set that aside and let it dry. And now we're going to do our flowers. So I'm gonna put all of them in here and try to give it all a go at once. So I'm using this tin here. You can use any kind of container, and paper towels. I have Kleenex. I forgot my paper towels in the house. But just to protect your work surface so you're not splattering everything on your desk, okay? All right, so here we go. Okay, pick it up again. I really want just a little bit. And you can see on the Kleenex where it's going everywhere. That's what you don't want all over your desk, right? Oh, I'm liking this now. I got a little bit more black ink. You see here? Okay, so it's very diluted, but if it gets too diluted, it might just look gray, and I don't want that. I did want some black speckles, okay? So I'm gonna clean my brush, and we're gonna move that out of the way. I believe I'm through with the watercolor, and I'm going to take my little flowers, put them on a little drying paper here, and then I'm gonna take one of these Kleenex and go ahead and get rid of this. I've learned the hard way. It's so much better to clean as you go, right? Okay, so now, while those are drying a bit, we're going to work on doing some stamping and embossing. I'm gonna take, first of all, this is the 4 by 5 1/4 piece of basic white that's going to go on the inside of the card, and it's going to say, "Let's celebrate." So I am going to use Memento Black ink, and those 3 little flowers that we just watercolored and splattered with our black, those are going to go on this inside to just tie it into the front. So I'm lining that up on my grid sheet, and I'm just going to stamp way up here so I have room to write at the bottom. Isn't that a pretty script? So pretty. Okay, I'm kind of cleaning my stamp. That was not a good idea. Except with a Kleenex. Got my stamping scrub over here to the side. So I'm cleaning that. I'm going to set that aside and then get the "Let's." I've already mounted that on my clear block. Let me get this over here instead of reaching across and stamping. And I'm going to put that right here. Let's celebrate. Okay. And then as the flowers dry, I will put those on the inside. In fact, they're probably dry enough. So I'm going to go ahead and do that so that I don't lose these little things. So I'm going to get my little fine tip glue container here that I've got our Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue in, because I just want a dot. I'm going to put 2 here, and then 1 down here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close that up, and let's see, I can use my take your pick tool. Okay, and I've kind of wrinkled the flowers up a little bit to give them some dimension. Once they're in the card, you know, it may flatten it out when you mail it, but it's okay. Okay, so that's ready. So to keep that safe, I'm going to go ahead and get my basic black card base. This is 5.5 by 8.5. And I see I've got some water on it, but we're going to say that it's going to dry. Give it a good crease with the bone folder. We're going to open it up and glue this on the inside. And then that can set a while and be drying while we're working on the rest of the card. So I don't know if any of you have seen cards done, or even scrapbook pages I've seen done with this technique, where, you know, lots of neutral and like one pop of color. And I say one pop. There may be several elements that have the color, but it's the same color, more or less. Yeah. All right. There we go. So, okay, that's ready to go. I'm going to put that aside. You know what? I can go ahead and build up the front while that's drying. So what I have here is Petal Pink. There's one of the pops of color. This is cut at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Then this is a piece of that Simply Elegant specialty paper. See the foil on the back? But I loved this little dashed and dotted black and white. And that's cut 4 by 5 1/4. So we're going to go ahead and layer that. And that can be already assembled and ready to go once we get everything else done. Okay. All right, so you've got that little thin border of petal pink around that to separate that from the black background. I tried it without it. Tried, leaving off this layer, and it just needed that separation, that border, to make this paper stand out from the black background. Okay, I think I can set this aside, and let's do some stamping and embossing. Love embossing. It was one of my first techniques I learned almost, 15 years ago when I started stamping. And, it's like magic, right? So, loved it, still love it, and I don't use it as often as I used to. So I'm inking this stamp Amazing with Versamark ink, which is a watermark ink, and it's sticky. One more thing I'm going to do first. Lane swerve here. Okay, we don't carry these embossing buddies anymore, but I know that you can find them. They're probably even on Amazon. So I'm just doing the anti-static thing on that. So hopefully I won't have embossing powder sticking everywhere. And I really need to order some new embossing powder. You'll see I am so low on my white. And now we sell it. Stampin' Up! Has it in the catalog with the Basics collection, I think it's called, or Neutral collection. Okay, let me quit talking a minute and stamp the Let's. No, not Let's. You're amazing. You're amazing. Anyway, you get the collection, like the black, the white, in the same one. I forget what other color. I think there were 3 of them. So that's nice. Use just one number to order the basic. And then I think there's a metallics collection too. Okay, so I did get a little bit of, see that stray? I like to take I got some of the A. I like to take a little paintbrush that I just keep on my desk and brush away those little stray pieces. Now I'm going to be fussy cutting this out, so that really doesn't matter, but you see how it picked up right there again? I probably got a little bit of Versamark there. Okay, so now that I have that on and see my white, I need to replenish. And I'm getting my heat tool, and I'm going to be talking a little louder so you can hear. I'm putting it on high, letting it heat up a little bit, and then I'm just going to watch the magic happen. You can tell when it's melting it because it gets brighter. You see that? There's Amazing. See how it's, there we go. Now watch your, and it helps to let your heat tool get hot first. Okay, yay. Okay, we're going to let that cool just a minute. I'm going to get these stamps out of the way. I don't think I need that. Again, I think I've already done what I needed with that. Okay, you're amazing. So now we're going to fussy cut. I know not everybody is a big fan of fussy cutting, but I love it. Okay, so because you can get your sentiments to fit however you want. You can adjust your placement, And it's just a cool look, I think. Okay, there's your. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. Now I'm gonna give myself some grace and cut the rest of this extra off. And I think I'm gonna be needing to cut a piece of black square out of that in just a minute. So let's do this really quick. So here I'm going around, leaving a little shadow, so to speak, around the edge of the script and just cutting it out. And it probably, not just probably, I know that no two cuts, if I were to make this card again, are going to be exactly the same, and that's okay. You don't want it to be exactly, right? Okay. Alrighty. So I am super excited about starting to craft for the holidays. I know it's early, and I usually do a Christmas in July, but I haven't. But who knows what you'll see next week? We'll see. But yeah, I'm super excited for that, for the new catalog to go live. All right, so now I have that done. I'm going to leave that right up here in the corner where I can see it and you can see it. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to cut a piece of basic black. And I'm going to cut this 2 1/8 inch square. This was another afterthought after I was creating the card, designing it. I wasn't going to use this, another piece of black, but it needed it, okay? Let me show you. That's going to go just like that, okay? So now let's see what else I need. I think I'm gonna get my little mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss. And that die that I need right here. And let me get me somewhere. I have a piece. This is another piece of the watercolor paper. It's just a scrap, but I think it's going to work for this square. Ooh, it's going to be a hot weekend here in Missouri. I can feel it. I'm already glistening, if you know what I mean. Excuse me. Okay, so I die cut that from the watercolor paper. Look at that nice clean cut. Let's get those little inners out. Throw that trash away. And I decided to, instead of just using the like basic white there, I decided to use the watercolor paper because I liked the thickness and the weight of it and that look. Okay, let me put my die up so I don't lose it. So now let's start piecing this together, shall we? We're going to take this and some of our glue. And on this, you notice I'm using our liquid glue most of the time. I mean, that is my glue of preference for most projects. My glue of choice, I should say. My preferred glue. And on this, it gets in all those little grooves. Okay, see the little black speckles? All right, next, we're going to put this die over top of that. Now see how pretty that background looks behind that? It makes it. If it was just white or a solid petal pink, I don't think it would do the same. So I'm just going and putting, you can use our fine tip glue for this too, but I am very partial to this glue here. It has such a good stick and relatively quick drying time, but enough leeway if you have to move something, you can move it. All right. Okay, see there? Okay, now we are going to, here's our pink flower, and remember our black flower that we did first? We're going to kind of wrinkle that up just a little bit and give it some texture. And I'm going to put that right over top like that. So I go around the little center there. Let's see. Let me give that a hold for just a minute, and then we're going to go over top with the pink one. See those little speckles? Okay. Do the same thing here. And let's see. I try to match up the petals, but in this case, it really doesn't matter because I want that black to show beneath it. Okay, let me give it a hold down here. Press it down with the bone folder. And woohoo. Okay, it's coming along. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm going to do my ribbon treatment. So I'm using this beautiful petal pink organdy striped ribbon, and I'm making a loopy bow. So I'm leaving a pretty generous tail here. Okay, I'm probably end up trimming it. I want the loops not to be so big, I think. I don't want it to overwhelm the card, which my first one was a little large, but I still like it. Okay, so loop, and I'm just pinching it in the middle there. And then one more. So I have a tail on each end. So I'm going to get my ribbon scissors and trim that off a little longer than I think I need. Okay, now this is where I need a third hand. And I had thought, you know, I could pin this down on a piece of, on my foam, my Stampin' Pierce mat, and nah, I didn't do it. So I am going to take, this is some of our black twine from our Basic Twine Essentials pack that has black, white, like a crumb cake, and vanilla. Okay, I'm going to cut, I may use 1 or 2 pieces. I don't know what I'm going to do this time. It's not as strong with one fiber, okay, because I separated it. So it can, if you pull it too tight, it can tear. And that's on the first card. I had to use 2 pieces because I wanted the little strings to be a little longer. Okay, so we're winging a prayer here, winging a prayer. Huh. So you can see those loops are still there, and I'm trying to hold it as best as I can. Come on. I've got my hand in the way. I'm getting in my own way here. Here we go. Okay, now I'm going to try to pull this without breaking it. But I wanted that thready look. Okay, thready look. That's a technical term. Okay, see? Okay, so I'm coming around, and I'm going to tie it on the back too. And I've noticed I didn't tug at it too hard, because that's when it breaks. Because like those fibers together, there are probably 6 or 8 of them, make for a strong baker's twine. But when you start separating and then you try to tie it, it's a little different. Ooh, don't tear, don't tear. Okay, look at that. Now I think I'm going to make that a knot so that I'm not sorry later. And come on, Lisa. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to leave those thready ends there. You see, that makes a pretty bow. It's different, and it's not real uniform, but it's not meant to be, okay? So let's get our card base that we've done. Make sure I've got it right side up here. And I'm going to show you where to start placing. So this is going to go in the lower right corner. And I know that's going there, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere it down. And I just, I don't know, about 1/8 of an inch from the bottom. Oop, that's not dry yet. Careful. All right, 1/8 an inch from this side, 1/8 an inch from the bottom. Don't measure it, just eyeball it. You can see, okay? Then the You're Amazing is going to overlap a bit like this. Isn't that cool? All right, so for that, you see how that goes over top of this square? I am going to put mini dimensionals along that top side, okay? Because it doesn't need it on the bottom because the it's over top of the square, the decorative square. So I've got 4 of them there. Let's be a little generous. Okay. I'm making a mess on my desk, but just trying to get these off. So we still have another card to make. All right, so here. All right, where's the Your? This is just going to go on with liquid glue. And I'm gonna put that right here. Okay, and then comes this little treatment, and that's going to go right there. So I found that I needed more than 1 glue dot on this. The bow's a little heavy, but it just wouldn't be the same without it. Another of that pop of color. Okay, I think I have 3 on there. So I don't want to cover up my words. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of trim this off, cut in an angle. Okay, and then I'm going to trim this, but I like those little threads hanging there. And then the finishing touch on this card is going to be some of our matte black dots, and I'm going to use 5 of them. Okay, let me get my take your pick, and I'm going to get a larger one for the center of the flower, and then go like this, a large one and a small one. Try to stick with doing odd numbers, but really it's just what's pleasing to your eye, okay? And there's also that rule of thirds, but sometimes I'm a rule breaker. This is 5. Okay, put this up. Okay, there's our first card. I hope you like that. What do you think? It's different. I know it's different, but it just, once I started playing with it and adding, and I thought, this is like, I love this style. I love this trend because I like neutrals, and I like not choosing, you know, just that one petal pink color. Okay, so while you are getting a drink of water or whatever, I am going to clear off my space and get ready for the next card. Not quite as detailed. So put this here, and I have to clear because if I don't, I won't be able to find anything. So if this is your first time to my YouTube channel, welcome, and I hope you will subscribe. I try to do excuse me, at least 1 video a week on my YouTube channel, sometimes 2. And then this premiere series hopefully is going to be a go every Thursday at 6 p.m., okay? Central Time. So let me get my next set of supplies up here. Might as well put up the embossing powder. And okay, so the next card, like I had mentioned earlier, is using that In Good Taste Designer Series paper, and here it is. See, it's like a totally different look with the blues, but I'm using the same, I'm using sentiments from the All Squared Away. I use some of the dyes, and well, you're gonna see. It's just a little different way to use it, and I think you'll like it. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you see I used that brick background, which lends itself toward that Night of Navy. So I chose that as my pop of color, which in Stampin' Up, the Night of Navy is considered a neutral, okay? But it really adds to the look here, I think, okay? So I'm hoping I have everything cut out here. I think I do. Okay, I am starting with a gray granite base, 5.5 by 8.5, okay? And I'm going to fold that in half and give it a good crease with the bone folder. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and do the inside of the card. So there's the 4 by 5.25 piece of basic white. And then as I was cutting my designer paper, I had little strips left over. And for I like to use those on the inside of a card to tie it in, you know, with the rest of it. So let me go ahead and put that down. And then we'll do stamp the inside sentiment and go ahead and get that on the inside of the card. So this In Good Taste Designer Series paper, as I mentioned earlier, is on sale for 15% off. It's 24 sheets of beautiful neutrals and patterns. And it was in our last year's annual catalog, and I was so excited. Do you hear me? So excited that it was carried over. I mean, probably one of the best and most versatile collections of designer paper that we have ever offered. And so it wouldn't hurt my feelings if it just remained forever. Okay, so this says, "You are so worth celebrating." So this is going to be a birthday card. And I have that mounted on my clear block. And I'm going to put that up here at the top. Okay. So let's let that dry off a little bit. I'm going to close that so I don't make a mess. Move this stamp out of the way. And let's see. Let's go ahead and put that on the inside, and we'll be done with that. So also on this particular card, along with this floral squares dies that come with the All Squared Away bundle, I used another carryover that was in this In Good Taste suite of products, and that is the Tasteful. Now I'm not remembering them. Tasteful Labels dies. Love these. Love these. Look how versatile in so many different shapes. Okay, so all right, so there's the inside of our card. I'm going to give that another good crease. And now we're going to move on and start our front. So that pop of color again is Night of Navy. And here is the designer paper. So again, this is cut 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. This designer paper is cut 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm not going to layer that yet. This can go on the front of the card. And I say that, I have to say it out loud so that I won't glue it down, because I'm going to do the ribbon treatment on that before I glue it down, okay? And probably just work the whole thing. So that's ready to go like that. Okay, so what I did next, and we'll do that sentiment here in just a minute, is I die cut this floral square from the All Squared Away bundle, okay? And then I used my paper snips and I cut it out. Okay, so I'm just going to follow along the squared edge there and cut this center floral piece out. All right. Okay, so now I have that. Now save this. We're using it. I have a some edges in there I've got to trim off, or not. You don't have to. Okay, we're going to use that. Oh, you have to be careful with this because that little leaf is barely attached. But what I did here is I took my snips and I just kind of fixed that squared edge and made it more like leaf looking. And here on this doesn't really matter because it's going to be cut up, or no, covered up. But if you're using it just like this, you can use your snips and kind of doctor it around, okay? All right, so now I've got that. So I have some pieces here that we're going to layer up on the designer paper, okay? So I have this piece cut from the Tasteful Labels die, okay? And this, and I'm going to go ahead and do it in just a minute, is going to go over top of that, okay? Then I have this. Look at this beautiful shape. I love this one. From that same die collection, okay? That is going to go here. Lower right, come up, and let's go ahead and put that on. And I'm going to layer these up. And I don't put glue all the way to the edge right now because I may be tucking some of the other shapes underneath. So just put the glue in the middle, okay? So now I have this square that I know is going to go here, but I've got to get this position so I'll know where to place that square, okay? So let's go ahead and glue this down. And remember again, that leaf right there I just put glue on is just barely attached, okay? So you want to do this as soon as you can. Attach that down if you cut this out, okay? All right, so I'm going to line that up with that bottom scored edge of that die and just tap that down. Okay, got a little bit of glue there. I have to use my adhesive remover later. All right. Okay, so next I took these two flowers from the Floral Squares dies, these here that match these flowers here on that square, and I die cut them from another piece of that designer paper, and I decided to use a wood grain and bring in a little bit of a brownish gray, okay? So you see I can have cut several, and I'm gonna go ahead and slide those out, and we're gonna glue those over top right now. So while I'm doing this, you know you can share this video with your friends by just clicking that little share button below the video, and that really helps me, so I appreciate it if you can do that. Tell your friends to subscribe. I'd love to have some friends watching. Okay, so now this is going to go here, and this is going to go here. Kind of. Okay, so there's another piece here, so I want to go ahead and take care of that so that I don't have any regrets. So I have this sentiment, happiest of birthdays to you. I'm going to stamp that in Night of Navy. This is on basic white. Let's go ahead and move that. And then I have this, yet another precious die from that collection. And I'm going to cut it over here off camera just to save a little time. And you know, you've seen me die cut, so we'll just save that for a different time. And I need a different plate, Lisa. Okay. Yep, I can do this. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna bring in this baby. I've got stuff scattered all over my desk. When you create like this and you, it's like if you don't take time to put it up, it's like it's going to get in the way. I'm gonna trim this down so I can use my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Like this. There we go. Now you can see this baby in action here. I've got it upside down and that's not going to work for me. I want to see that I've got it as centered as possible. So there's that. I put this down and I catch it. I think that's good. Let's try it. Roll it through. Okay. Yeah, I think we're good. Yay. Okay. Let's move this out of the way. So there's my sentiment. I'm gonna put my dies away. Here we go. So this is going to go like this and like that. So you see those different layers just add for some interest here, okay? I'm gonna bring this square in a bit, I think. That. And I want to check that a bit like that. So that's how I want it. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna go ahead and I see that I want it about right there. I'm gonna put a little dot of glue there. Okay. Remember, this is the border that we cut our die from, our flowers that we're using on the card. So let's put, okay, so I know I want that about right there. Okay. And I know I want this, ooh, there. This is going to be look a little bit different, but that's okay. Okay, let's do that. And then this. Yeah, I like that. Okay, let's put it down, and then we're going to do our ribbon treatment. Okay, there we go. Now, we're using some of our seam binding ribbon in white, and so I'm just going to tie a bow. I'm giving myself plenty of ribbon to do it. Probably 18 to 20 inches is what, and I probably cut mine a lot longer than that, but I hate trying to tie a ribbon when it's too short. So a lot of times I'll just leave it on the spool to make sure that I have enough, but it's just kind of awkward. This ribbon is easy to tie, but I'm trying to get the look of it okay here. So let me go ahead and get my bow done. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, got it. You hear me talking to myself? Come on, come on. All right. There we go. These are loops are a little more than I want, but, oh, there we go. I didn't get it too tight. That's the beauty of this ribbon too. You can play with it. And because it's crinkled already, you don't have to worry about keeping it, pristine looking. Okay, so now let me cut this and cut this. And then to help myself a little bit, I'm going to use a glue dot behind the knot of that bow. Just like that. So that's a tip. Oh, it's helpful. So helpful. All right, so now I'm going to get my linen thread because I want to tie in a little bit more of the neutrals and a little of this brown here, okay? So I'm making a loopy bow with this, much like I did on that first card. So I'm going to, that, 2 loops on each side, and cut. And then I need another piece so I can tie it all together. Don't skimp on that. Live and learn, huh? Huh. All right, so here we go. Tying this. And this is a little easier than that twine was. It's got a little bit more body. And ooh, my loops are getting cattywampus. Let's see. There we go. Okay, it's a good knot there, and I'm going to cut off these little ends. Then that is going to go over that knot, okay? So let's get another glue dot, and that one should do on this one. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Almost done. Okay, as I'm finishing up here, I want to be sure and let you know to visit my blog at inkandinspirations.com. You're going to find the details for these cards there. And also, while you're there, if you're not on my mailing list, you're missing out on some great ideas sent every week and just some about me. So I'd love for you to join in on that. Let me get something. This is a sneak peek of some embellishments from the new mini. They're called Brush Metallic Adhesive Back Dots. And I'm using these bronzy looking ones because I thought they went well with this. So I'm using 3. I'm doing one here, and then a small one here, and then what did I do there? Another small one, I think. Okay. All right, so there's our second card. Neutrals with a pop of color. A fun birthday card. And this one, too, can be used as a birthday card, right? Let's celebrate. You're amazing. Or an accomplishment, an achievement. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I will be doing a little random draw for someone who has commented in the live comments, and I'll send you these cards, okay? All right, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope to see you again next Thursday evening. Come on and join me, and we'll have some fun crafting together. Until I see you again, be the light for someone. Send them a card. Okay, take care, everyone. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.